They told the engineers it couldn't be done. You can't build a luxury hotel in the middle of the ocean with no land to stand on. You can't do it in 5 years. And you absolutely can't make it look like a giant sail catching the wind over open water. They were wrong on all 3 counts. And the way they pulled it off will change how you see what's actually possible. The Burj Al Arab sits on its own artificial island, 280 meters tall, on the coast of Dubai. It didn't exist before 1994. There was nothing there. Just water. And a government that decided it needed a building so impossible, so visually unforgettable, that the entire world would stop and stare. That is exactly what happened. But the story of how they built it is something most people never hear. And once you do, you can't unsee it. Here's what nobody talks about. Before they could build a single floor, they had to create the ground itself. Engineers had to drive 230 concrete piles deep into the seabed. Each one the size of a tree trunk. Each one bored nearly 45 meters down into soft sand and rock until they hit something solid enough to hold a skyscraper. That process alone took nearly 3 years. Just to make land where there was none. Think about that the next time something in your own life feels like it's taking too long to get started. The island they built is small. Just big enough for the hotel and a causeway connecting it to the shore. But small does not mean simple. The island has to resist ocean currents, storm surges, and the slow creep of erosion. They wrapped it in a collar of 34,000 tons of rock to keep the sea from eating it alive. Dubai didn't build on the ocean. They built against it. Every day the building stands as a quiet argument with nature. And nature keeps losing. Now here is where it gets genuinely strange. The Burj Al Arab is not a solid tower. It is hollow in the middle. The 2 wings of the building lean outward like a book opened flat, and between them sits one of the tallest atriums in the world. When you stand inside and look up, you see 180 meters of pure vertical space. Floors stacked above you like a canyon made of gold and color. The architect, Tom Wright, didn't design a building first. He designed a silhouette. He wanted something that, if you drew it in 3 seconds on a napkin, anyone in the world would know what it was. He got it right. And that shape, the billowing sail, wasn't just aesthetic. It had to be structural. The 2 wing-shaped sections brace against each other. They work together the way your 2 hands would if you pressed them palm to hold something upright. One side supports the other. Without the tension between them, neither would stand. The most beautiful part of the building is also what holds it together. That is not a coincidence. That was the plan. Inside, they made choices that sound absurd until you see the numbers. 24-karat gold leaf covers 22,000 square meters of interior surface. The hotel has only 202 rooms. All of them are suites. The smallest suite is 169 square meters. The royal suite on the 25th floor is bigger than most houses you've ever been in. It has its own cinema, its own elevator, its own dining room. When it was completed in 1999, the Burj Al Arab became the first hotel in the world to claim a 7-star rating. That rating doesn't officially exist. They gave it to themselves. And the world accepted it because nothing else fit. Here's the thing people miss when they look at Dubai and feel like it's all smoke and performance. The Burj Al Arab wasn't built to be luxurious. It was built to be a signal. Dubai in the early 1990s was sitting on oil that everyone knew would eventually run out. The government made a calculated decision. They needed the world to think of Dubai not as a place with oil but as a destination. A place you go because you want to. Because it's worth going to. So they built something so visually impossible that every newspaper, every magazine, every travel documentary in the world would show it for free. It worked. The hotel became the advertisement. The advertisement became the economy. And the economy became one of the fastest growing cities on Earth. You've probably seen photos of it and thought it was edited. That perfect reflection in the Arabian Gulf at sunset. The way it seems to float rather than stand. The scale that doesn't quite make sense until you see a boat next to it and realize the boat looks like a toy. That feeling you get when you see it is not accidental. It was designed into the thing before the first pile was hammered into the seabed. And here is the part that should sit with you after this video ends. When the engineers started planning this project, the consensus was that the timeline was impossible. 5 years to build an artificial island and erect the tallest hotel structure in the world on open water. Experts said it would take longer. That corners would be cut. That something would fail. But the deadline was tied to an idea, not a contract. Dubai needed the world watching before the oil conversation changed. So they found a way. Not by ignoring the problem but by attacking every single part of it simultaneously. Different teams working on the island, the structure, the interior, the infrastructure, all at once. Overlapping timelines. Parallel progress. The kind of coordination that most projects never attempt because it requires everyone to trust that the other pieces will be ready in time. They finished in 1999. On schedule. On water. And the building they left behind doesn't just sit there looking beautiful. It sits there as proof that the thing people say is impossible is usually just the thing nobody has decided to fully commit to yet. Dubai committed. And now there is a gold-plated tower on the ocean that literally everyone on Earth has seen, whether they've been to Dubai or not. That is what a real decision looks like. Not a plan. Not a mood board. A pile driven 45 meters into the bottom of the sea before anyone could see what it would become. The crane operators worked in shifts around the clock. Not because of deadlines alone, but because the tidal schedule doesn't negotiate. The sea moves when it moves. So the crews moved with it. Some nights they worked by floodlight with waves breaking against the island's rock collar, placing steel and pouring concrete in conditions that most construction sites would shut down for. They didn't stop. Because stopping meant the tide would undo what the previous shift had built. What most people never consider is how you supply a construction site that sits in open water. Every bag of cement, every steel beam, every worker's lunch had to arrive by boat or temporary causeway. Logistics became its own engineering problem. They essentially built a small floating city just to feed the construction of a building. The support operation was nearly as complex as the structure itself. And when they finally switched the lights on in December 1999, the building did exactly what it was designed to do. People stopped. People stared. People argued about whether it was real. That argument, that moment of disbelief, was the whole point. Dubai didn't want a hotel. Dubai wanted a conversation starter that never goes quiet. 25 years later, it still hasn't.